Welcome to all of you to another series of webinar from one of our wonderful coaches. And so let me introduce, we have Shalini today. Shalini Juneja. She's a founder at Being Alive, is a certified performance coach and an innermost shift coach, and also an NLP practitioner from Dr. Richard Bandler. She loves to inspire and empower people to create immense possibilities and live a very powerful life that they dream. And with her enriched experience of 19 years, she doesn't look that old. If you're going to see her, she looks very, very young. And in education and training, she has also worked with leading organizations as business head, consultant, and a trainer. And in 2011, she attended a coaching seminar and got inspired to become a coach and transform lives. And in 2014, she also came into coaching. And now she's leading her sessions and workshops for leaders, executives, managers, life and executive coach in various companies for almost like 5 years. So that's her professional qualifications. So Shalini, can we see you? Are you there?
Yes, Siri.
Look at her. How beautiful she looks.
Good evening, everyone.
Very beautiful she looks and very beautiful from the heart. And she's got 2 daughters amazingly well. I think a very wonderful mother. When we met her, I think that's what, inspired her to come to us. And then she's become a part of our family and coaching people, transforming their lives, always eager to learn. I think that's one of the best qualities all of our coaches have, whoever have come to us, that they really want to learn and move forward in life. So Shalini, welcome. And it's a wonderful topic that you have chosen today for all of us. So we will follow the same protocol. So you will have 30 minutes for your session. And so all of you, please write your questions in the chat box. And once she finishes the session, then Prosperity, wonderful, amazing, compare, and she will take up the questions, and then Shalini, she'll put it across to you and you will answer it, right? Okay. So all the best, Shalini, all over to you.
Thank you so much, Siri, for the wonderful introduction, first of all. And then I also want to thank Siri and Prosperity, the entire Alpha Star team, to give me this opportunity to share my experience with you all here today. And I also want to thank each one of you, all the participants who've joined us in this webinar today. So welcome you all. So what I want to create before I begin is that, first of all, I'm not going to teach you anything today because I know that on this platform, most of you are professional coaches. Some of you are ICF certified coaches. So you already know a lot and you all are learned people, which, anyone can get inspired by. What I'm going to share today is my experience, my learnings that I have got out of my 5 years of coaching experience, my own discoveries that I have got out of my own failures also, you can say that when 5 years back, when I just began as a coach. So all those things I'm going to share, and the journey would be wonderful. And I'm sure that with all my experience and sharing, that would really make a difference to your coaching practices and would really add value to, that's what my intention is for today. So when we say coaching is a very, very interesting and fascinating profession. And as one side, there is a lot of demand of new coaches. On the other side, a lot of people are also very, very inclined towards becoming a coach. And when there are a lot of coaches around, what separates you as best from the rest? That's the question. Now, what makes you a great coach means I have chosen this topic as I'm considering that you all are already good coaches. There's no doubt about it. Now, what I'm talking about is the journey from good to great. There are few things which we do not find in any of the textbook, and we already get to know those things when we do things, when we play on the court. So I would quickly share my presentation with you, and let's begin together. So what all I'll be covering today, we'll talk about the right approach and attributes of a coach, creating rapport, building trust, holding a safe and empowering space, the common mistakes that most coaches do, the top 5 qualities of a powerful coach, and to become a great coach, who do you need to be? Now, when we say what makes you a great coach, now whenever we begin this profession, whenever we start, the initial things that comes to our mind, that those are like, is it the content or the knowledge or the certifications? So we think that, oh, how much I know, what is the content that I have, what will I give to my client, and from where I'm certified. We look for certifications, but the point is that, is it content, knowledge, certifications, or there is something more to it? That's the question, and that's what we are gonna discover today. We say a coach is a facilitator who help individuals to accomplish what's important to them. Yes, what's important to them. So it is more about them. It's less about you. And as we all know that the role of a coach is to listen, to create awareness, change the limiting beliefs, bring clarity, building resource, empower to make a choice, inspire to drive action, help overcome barriers, take accountability, and give the honest feedback. Now, this is something that you all know already. And as a coach, we all want to contribute to people's life. But let me tell you, it is not easy. Contributing to people's life is not easy, because you cannot contribute to somebody's life until and unless they really welcome you. They really allow you to look into their lives, until and unless they really get opened up with you. So before you actually start with your questions and you start giving your coachings, and before that there are a lot of things which are required. Now what is that? The very first thing is creating a rapport. Now, as you all have heard of, in NLP, that we talk about, whenever we talk about creating rapport, we talk about matching, mirroring, how do we match our things, the tonalities, all those things that I'm sure you must be knowing about all those things. But what I'm talking about, few things which are very, very simple, and in these simple terms that, we all can immediately start practicing. We say people like people who are like them, or who are like how they like to be. Now, to practice that, the one thing what we can do is we need to find out one common thing. And if we can always find at least one thing which is common, if we really want to get involved with the other person. It can be anything. It can be your hobbies, your interests, even the place there that you belong to. If you want to find out, you will definitely find one thing common, so that the other person or the client can relate to you, because it is very, very important. Your client must relate to you. Then be genuinely interested and curious. You must have seen that, if you're there in any gathering, how do we like to talk to people? What kind of people we really start our conversation with? People who show interest, people who really show that they're genuinely interested in you. Somebody comes to you and asks from where you are or what you do, and then suddenly we start opening up, right? So if you show the curiosity, if you show that genuine interest in your client will start to open up, because it is more important. We try to be interesting rather than interested, but then being interested is much more important if you're a coach. Then relate as a possibility. Now, when I say relate as a possibility in coaching, you all have heard that, we say that every human being is whole, perfect, and complete. We say human beings have got all the resources, within themselves. But how many times we look at people as they are whole, perfect, and complete? We really need to ask ourselves, do we really look at people as they're whole, perfect, and complete? We are somehow not in the practice of doing that. But if you're a coach, you must start practicing that, because if you're looking at your client or your coachee as a possibility, as somebody whole, perfect, and complete, you will see that that really makes a difference. How you see that people really makes a difference. Then validate. People hate to be invalidated. Nobody likes that. Now, you being a coach, if you tell your client that, oh, you're wrong, oh, this is not the way to do it, now let me correct you, you're simply blocking them. So you should never invalidate. Rather, you can use the terms that, oh, I understand, I get you. So can we have a different approach over here? So when you validate a person, then you can always put your point there, but you cannot invalidate. When you are doing all these practices, it will create a rapport with the client. And last but not the least is true acknowledgement. Now, acknowledgement is a very, very powerful tool, I must say. When somebody acknowledge us, we feel so good about it, but true acknowledgement, make it a point. It's not about, making it fake or saying anything. It is about very, very true acknowledgement. You need to find opportunities to acknowledge the person, to acknowledge your client, but that should be very, very true acknowledgement, because when you acknowledge the person, you immediately get connected with the person. And I'm sure each one of you must have experienced that in your life. Either you have given some compliment to people, or you have received a compliment. It is always very, very connecting. Now, the second most important thing is building trust. There are two things that we need to know initially, before we start the coaching. One is that the person should like you. We only want to talk to people we like. So one, liking. Second is building a trust. It is very, very important that your client or your coachee should have a trust on you. Now, how do you build a trust? Let us see. The very, very first thing, the ground rule is integrity. Integrity is like being honest and doing things inconsistent with what you say. It is like walking your talk. Now, when you say something and you do not do it, right? When you are just lacking integrity, so people would somehow do not trust you, right? So you are breaking it there only, then and there only, and the person will not even listen to you from that angle. And second is the commitment. Commitment is, we say, making a commitment involves dedicating yourself to something. Commitment is something which is very, very important, you can say quality of a coach. How about, let's say, if I am a client, if I am a coachee, now I might have started with some goal, but I can be lazy. Now I can procrastinate. Now I can be fearful. I want to give up. I am confused. But I know there is one coach who is here just standing by me and who's committed for me to win in my life, who's committed for me to catch my dreams. How do you feel that? So commitment is very, very important quality of a coach, because that is that builds trust for you. And third, and the most important also is the expertise. Develop mastery on the subject and techniques to become effective. Now, when we say if you really do not have any expertise on the tools, the techniques, on the subject that you are talking about, it certainly put a question mark. And moreover, when you are telling something to your client, when you are asking your client to use some particular tool, it is very important that you use that tool on yourself first. If you really, you're not putting all those distinction on yourself, it will not even land on your client or on your coachee. You would sound very fake. Supposingly, if you tell your client you need to be resilient, and if you yourself are holding on to things, it will not, it will not, it will sound like more of fake thing, and it will not land on your coachee. So expertise is very, very important. Then holding a space, holding a safe and powerful space. Holding a space means allowing the person to be fully expressed. Now, I really want you to think that you must have experienced that there are people, whenever you are with them, your self-expression is in the, like, the full-blown self-expression is there. You are able to fully express. You say whatever you want to say. But in front of some other kind of people, you really do not share your things. Even you are scared of saying a few things that you feel, I don't know what the person will feel, or you do not find yourself fully opened up. So your self-expression becomes very, very less. Now, when you are there with your coachee or with your client, it is very, very important that your client should open up in front of you. Now, holding a space. Space is something we say the whole coaching happens actually in a powerful space, right? Space plays a very, very important role. What you're going to talk, what question will you ask, that would come later on. If the space is not appropriate for a coaching session, trust me, your client, your coachee will not you speak up if the self-expression is not there. So what are the things important of for holding a space is, first thing which I just shared, relate as a possibility. It is very important that your client should relate to you, but it is more important how do you relate to your client. And people in your life show up exactly the way you relate to them. If you think like this, you just think again what I said. People in your life shows up the way you relate to them. If you relate to somebody as weak, they will show up as weak. If you relate to somebody as powerful, they will show up like that. So relate to your client as a possibility, which is very, very important. Then listen from nothingness. Now, what is this nothingness? Listening from nothingness, and it is not easy, trust me. This is something which you really need to practice a lot. It takes months and it might take years also to get, to this particular place where you listen from nothingness. Now, when I say nothingness is when you're not adding any meaning to it. And you know how human mind works. Whenever someone says something, we quickly add a meaning to it and get into our own understanding of it. What does it means? Uska matlab shayad ye tha. So you need to really practice a lot that you listen from nothingness. Whatever is being said. There is no other meaning which you need to add to that. The third thing is being there. Being there is your client should never feel that you're occupied in some other kind of thoughts. When you are in a coaching session, you can't think of something else. You can't think of what is next. You can't think of what happened. You need to be there, very much be there, and listen to every single even things that the client is not even saying completely. You need to listen to that. So that listening for is very, very important, and it is only possible when you're just being there. No concerns. No concerns. When I say no concern, it means that when your client is, your client could be in any kind of situation, and you need to put all your concerns outside. Even you could be in any kind of situations. We are, every time we are not in that, powerful zone. Sometimes even you could be, as a coach, you could be dealing of something. But before you get into that coaching session, to remain that, in that particular zone, to hold that space, you need to put all those concerns outside. And then only you get into that coaching conversation, right? So concerns always spoil the space. So no concerns at the time of coaching. You just need to be there, fully be there with your client. And last is the energy of love. We all know that the most powerful energy on the planet is the energy of love. And when you bring that energy of love, it can be miraculous. The results can be miraculous. Anything is possible with this energy of love. Now, I would quickly address what are some common mistakes that most coaches do, right? We all do. So don't worry. Even I have done a lot. So first thing is getting enrolled in the story. Now, this is something really funny. When, initially the client approaches, people have all kind of stories to tell you, right? So it is usually habit of people that they get involved in the stories. Now, when a client is telling you different, kind of story, as a coach, you need to be firm. You need to get enrolled. You need not to get enrolled in the story. So if you get enrolled in the story and start having sympathy or something like that, any kind of emotion, trust me, you would not be able to coach. So you just need to stay away from that, getting enrolled in the story of your client. The second thing is being judgmental. So it is the human's nature, we quickly get judgmental. Now, if let's say your client is there, if your client is, facing something, some issue with the in-laws, some issues with the husband, my husband did that, I did that, and we quickly, start to evaluate what kind of, oh, she's a bad person, oh, he is a bad person, So you need not to be judgmental no matter what the client is saying. And trust me, I have really, had, in fact, one experience I had where I was actually training a coach, and the coach was handling a client, a girl, and she told that coach that I was into a relationship for last 5-6 years, and then I have started liking a different guy. Now that guy also likes me. I want to get along with that guy. I want to leave that previous one. And the coach tells me that in a day or two, that suddenly that girl is avoiding my calls, and the girl is not sharing things with me now. My first question to the coach was, how do you relate to that girl? And the answer was, I was thinking somehow it is not appropriate, she was in a relationship, but she's not committed. And that's what impacted the whole relationship of coach and coach. You can't be judgmental, right? So whatever a coach is doing, always remember that we say people are whole, perfect, and complete. You have no right to judge them. Now, the third thing is giving suggestions and offering solutions. And sometimes we feel that this person is really bechara or doesn't know how to do things. And we forget our own rule that people have all the resources within themselves available to deal with any situation. They really do not need your suggestion. They really do not need your solutions there. So never do that. Then fixing or trying to lead the conversation. Sometimes what happens that when a coach is dealing with when a client is dealing with something, and which is you have a different value system, you have a different understanding, you have a different perception about that thing, and then you suddenly try to lead that conversation towards that this should be the end result. You already decide the outcome in your mind. So supposingly a girl comes to you and says that I want a divorce with my husband, and I want to get separated with 3 of my kids, alone. I don't want to be in the relationship because I want my freedom. And suddenly if you think that getting divorced is not really good decision, and let me try to lead a conversation so that she should get back to the relationship, you are no one to decide, right? So whatever a client is saying, the role of a coach is to support the client, right, in whatever the client wants to accomplish. It's not about the coach, it's about the client. Then going out of the frame. And how it happens that when the client starts telling you the story and story and story, and again that round and round and round, and we if you forget to the framework, the coaching conversation is a structured conversation. It's a conversation within the framework. Now if you come out of the framework, the conversation will not go anywhere. You would not be able to accomplish anything, neither your client will be. So always remember, if the conversation is going haywire, get back to the frame. If the conversation is going haywire, get back to the frame. But never lose on the frame, right? That's the key to have the unique conversation or the quality conversation if you really want to get the real outcome. Now, what are the top 5 qualities of a coach? First thing is a great listener. Listening is we have a very poor listening, and I'm talking, when I say we, I'm including even myself, right? People listen to answer back. People listen to answer back. They do not listen for the sake of listening, right? You will hardly find people who really listen to you from the listening angle, right? That they are only listening to you. They're not doing any, any kind of, thinking with that. So for a coach, this is a must quality, that you listen, only listen. Because sometimes people only want that, there should be somebody who can at least listen to me, because you would hardly find, this is the rare species that, you will get somebody who will listen to you without any judgment or accept you the way you are. So you should have a great listening, so that you should not miss out. If you miss out on any conversation of your client, the client will really feel that my coach is not being with me. So be a great listener. Then committed, as I already shared with you, how commitment is very important quality of a coach. Then non-judgmental, as I just said. If you pass on any judgment to your client, you are just breaking the relationship out there. The client will immediately get stopped. We hate to be judged by people. The way people are, the way they are, and the way they are not, right? And they are whole, perfect, and complete. You only need to practice that if you really want to be a great coach, because the moment you start judging people, they will stop sharing their things with you. Because I'm sure most of you, I guess, as a coach, all of you must have experienced that the client or the coaches, they share those things with us that they have never shared with their parents, they have never shared with their friends, they have never shared with anyone. And sometimes I really get goosebumps when my client or my coaches, when they're sharing such things with me. So this is like what kind of trust that people are showing in you. And if you're just being judgmental on them, you're actually spoiling everything. And sometimes one more thing that as coaches do, they think that the other person will never get to know what am I thinking. The most we can say the biggest blunder, you can say, if you think that the other person will never get to know what you are thinking in your mind, because the unsaid is always much more powerful than the said. People hear what you do not say, they do not hear what you say, right? So non-judgmental. Then next is being straight. It is very important for a coach to be straight. You don't have to, plot your statements, right? You need to be direct. You need to be straight. You don't have to be looking good. Sometimes people, coaches may think that, oh, I need to be a little nice with my clients, so that my client should stay with me. If you want to be nice, you can be a nice person, but you can't be a great coach, because a coach is somebody who's committed for a client, so that the client should win in the life, so that the client should get their dreams, the client should get their goals. For that, you really need to be very straight. No looking good. बहुत अच्छा nice coach होना is not a great coach होना, right? Always understand that. If you think that your client is not getting into action, the client is not doing things whatever you have assigned them to do, you can be straight. And trust me, people like that, because we hardly have such kind of people in our life who can really stand by and say that, hello, you need to do that. So being straight is the wonderful quality of a coach, and it must be there in any of the coach. If you tolerate, or if you say, oh, koi baat nahi, but I can't be like this, I can't be looking bad, what my client will think about me, then you're actually losing it. And the next is great contributor. Somehow I personally believe that this profession is only for those who are contributors. Contribution has got immense power, right? And if you are not a contributor, I don't think you can be a great, you can be a good coach. I have no nothing to do with that. You can be a good coach, but you can't be a great coach if you really do not have the urge to contribute to people's life, right? I personally think, because when I came into this profession, I was already, after having established career of 13-14 years, and then suddenly something hits you, and I really feel, and this is what is most fulfilling part of this profession, that when people, apart from all the money that we get, that when people say thank you for contributing to my life, that makes something that moves you, right, and inspire you to do this again and again and again. So a coach needs to be a contributor, right, so that you can think of the other person first. Now, to become a great coach, who do you need to be? That is the most important, this is the most important slide, I must say. Who do you need to be? Now, you must have seen that in coaching, we say that we be first, and then have, and then do. We just do the reverse, do, have, be. This is how things happen in usually in every area of life, but we reverse it. We say be. Who do you need to be? Who do you need to be? Your being, what I'm talking about is, right? Who do you need to be to become a great coach. That being is very important. Now, whenever you are into a coaching conversation, just always ask yourself or just notice yourself, who are you being at that moment, right? And who do you need to be is a possibility. Be a possibility. We say the mind has to be empty to see clearly. Now, when you do not have concerns, when you do not have judgments, when you do not have any selfish things there to accomplish from that conversation, and I also said that you need to look at your client as a possibility. Now, what does it mean? That a possibility is talking to another possibility. Now, when two, it's not about two people, right? One possibility is talking to another possibility. And in this space, when you hold this space, miracles happen. This is the space for miracles to happen. And trust me, anything is possible there. I have been experiencing I have seen tremendous results and outcomes in the life of my clients and my coaches that even I could never imagine. How it happened, I really do not know. When they come and say thank you and all, I really, do not understand that how it happened, how they actually made it happen. It is nothing but who are you being when you are being a coach. And trust me, what I think that being a coach is an honor. It is an honor to be a coach. And thank you so much for being so patient and listening to me. That's all from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Shalini, for the great insights that you have given. When Shalini came for the workshop, she was already a coach, but was so open to learning, and she took in everything with so much curiosity. And that's also one of the main things that she mentioned, that as a coach, you always have to be curious, you have to be like in the nothingness and just be open. So I think you were being a great coach even as a learner.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So couple of points that you know that I really highlighted for myself was commitment as a coach that you talked about, because we normally always talk about commitment of the client, but you also spoke about commitment of the coach, which is something very, very essential when you are being a coach, and anyone needs to be committed to the outcome or to the client more than the outcome to the client is also. And the way you covered presence and noted down, you know, when you call it space of coaching or coaching presence, that's really wonderful.
Thank you.
So
thank
any
you.
questions? Thank you. Thank you so much. Any questions anyone has, please, just type it out. I think you made a wonderful presentation. People don't really have any questions.
Probably can you remove the slide?
Hi, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so while I'm not a coach, but I am a facilitator and I aspire to be a coach. I think you gave me a complete insight about what being a coach is all about. It was very crisp and clear, and yes, I had a very focused listening to understand each and every, right from thinking, being to executing levels that you just explained. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Shalini, you can even, switch off the share screen mode so that you can
Yes.
see the full screen, right?
Yes.
So Nitin,
How can I do that?
Is there a specific technique to strike a balance between listening and the need to move towards outcome to remain in the frame? Sorry, you were saying something.
I said how to do that. I'm not able to do
Just
it.
close the PPT. Just close the presentation.
Achha, okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Yes. What did you say? I am so sorry.
So, Nitin's question was, is there any specific technique to strike a balance between listening and the need to move towards outcome to remain in the frame?
Okay. So thank you for asking question, Nitin. First of all, that framework is, as I said, you always need to be in the frame, right? Never be out of the frame. But then listening is something that, when you are just not putting your thoughts into it, when you are not, putting your meanings to it, you can really have a great listening. And it always comes through practice, I must say, because practice is the only key point, that because human beings are not designed to listen like that. I just want to give you a very very straight answer, that human beings are not designed to listen like that. So you really need a lot of practice to listen to, and you can not only with the coaches, if for the sake of practice, you can start listening to everybody like that, right? So when somebody is saying something, do not put your mind into it, do not put your meanings to it, and see, and it's a fun, you would love that.
Okay, thank you so much. So Anshul here says that, 2 points that went deep within: people in life show up as you relate to them, and people hear what you don't say, and, much more golden nuggets. Of course, I noted it down as well. People in life show up as you relate to them. So it's very important.
Can you repeat the question?
It's not really a question. I think it was more of a takeaway that Anshul mentioned, that
Okay.
his takeaway was people in life show up as you relate to them, and people hear what you don't say. So, and many such.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Wonderful takeaway, Anshul. Great, thank you.
Samath has a question. If coach will not suggest some inputs to coachee to improve, then how to share inputs with coachee?
Okay. Thank you for asking this question, Samarth. First of all, a coach is not meant to give any suggestions or inputs, right? Coaching is not about giving suggestions. That's what we call counseling, right? If you're a counselor, you actually suggest a lot of things. You give options to people. The coaching is all about bringing awareness, right? And you need to only bring that awareness, because what we completely believe, we truly believe that people have all the resources within themselves available to deal with any kind of situation, right?
Training session.
Who's there? Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes. Can you please repeat what you were saying?
Okay. So I said that to give suggestions and give options, that's the job of a counselor, not a job of a coach. A coach's job is only to raise the awareness, right? And that you can do that with the tools that you already have, with the presuppositions. We have a lot of presuppositions, we say a lot about this. And then you can, just by giving these kind of things, the presuppositions, the tools, the distinctions that we use in the coaching area, you can just bring that awareness. And second thing is awareness. One way I can just tell you how you bring that awareness. Supposedly, if I tell you that human mind thinks in the form of images, right? And you cannot control that. Now this is one way of telling. Now how would I really make you understand, and how can I put it into your awareness and can give you the insight, is that if right now I ask you, do not think of a big black giant elephant. Please do not think of a big black giant elephant. आप में से कितने लोगों ने नहीं सोचा? Are you getting my point? किसी ने सोचा या नहीं सोचा? Can you put something in the chat box so I can see?
We all thought of the elephant.
You all thought of the elephant, now wonderful. Now when you have this kind of conversation, Abhi, if I ask you, now do you get what I wanted to say? You will say yes. Because somehow in my conversation, I have, made you see that. And now the moment you start relating to that, what your coach is saying, say, oh yes. Now, oh, okay, that's what my coach is saying. Okay, so this is like that. This is how you bring the awareness and you raise the awareness of your client without telling. I don't have to counsel. I don't have to push my points. You don't have to prove your points, but you need to say few things that we have so much, in as a coach, a lot of tools and distinctions, to support that, whatever you want to say, but never suggest. Because if you are suggesting, your suggestion might work, your suggestion might not work, but the client will actually would not be able to discover, right? The way we say, na, caterpillar wala story, the caterpillar comes out by itself, then only it becomes a butterfly. So the role of a coach is very critical out here, right? You always feel like suggesting, but never do that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I mean, when you say you always feel like suggesting, I think when we really get into that space of coaching and when we start listening from nothingness, that's when we really also get into a space of not really suggesting, because we're completely there with the client and 100% to help the client grow as well, right? So, and of course, when you mention tools and techniques, when we use that, it becomes much more easier to stop suggesting and then, helping the client to discover.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So Nitin has a question. How important is emotional intelligence to coaching?
How?
How important is emotional intelligence to coaching?
See, emotional intelligence, if I say, it is very, very important, right? Because there are a lot of things that, people do. I really do not know anything, if you say I will not go to, technical things, but how your mind works and how you feel that, right? If you are able to do that practically with your client, it becomes very easy, and your coaching becomes very, very flawless. Because if we use more of the jargons, if we use more of the technical things, rather than that, if we use that emotional intelligence to make people understand what we are trying to say, would really work wonderfully.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shalini. I think that's for the questions for today. Siri?
Yep. I think Shalini, very, very well said. And I would just like to add a little few things which you already mentioned, We are all good human beings, but to become great, there has to be something, an extra bit of it. And I believe we have learned a lot of things, and we are doing some bit of coaching in our own way. But to become a great coach, one of the most important things for me is to be in your own presence. And which you rightly said, we start from being. If you remain in your being, and as a coach, if you're becoming coaches, the one of the values that you're always living is helping others, and that's why you come into this field or become coaches, right? So greatness is about being in your own space, allowing the person also to get in touch with that being. That is, I think, very important aspect of it. So we were having a session today, and we had one of the questions where the gentleman is already coaching somebody. He's joined the workshop virtual with us, and he says, when I'm coaching somebody, the person is not interested, and I'm trying to push and pull, and nothing is happening. So then, sir asked a question. Then what are you? It's really like happening as a coach. He says, no, actually, the maybe a son or a daughter. I didn't know that. But then somebody approached, the mother approached that you coach my son, and if somebody is not willing, obviously, then you cannot coach. So to be a great coach is about knowing well, upgrading your own skills. That's a part of being a great coach. Living by your own values. And it's not necessarily, sometimes people talk about that. If you are not doing, then you cannot teach. So for me, that's a different saying, because even if somebody does not do it perfectly, but if you have a accessibility, you have a capacity to teach, why not? We can teach the right things to the people. So I think that is something which makes the person as a great coach. And then listening, I think you very, very beautifully said, Shalini, we do not listen. Listening has not been taught to us. We are just waiting for the people to finish and just to tell what is happening. मतलब जिसको कहा जाता है ना सुनना, तो हमने सुना तो कभी है ही नहीं. हम सिर्फ सुनाने के लिए बैठेंगे, अच्छा हमारी बारी है, let us speak about it.
Right.
And being a great coach is about actually listening and absorbing. And which I often tell people, as a great coach or as a great human being, if you are getting in touch with the emotion of the others, so maybe somebody has a headache, I don't know what that feels, but I know my headache. And if I can relate to that, I think that puts you in a very great space of your own space of understanding what the human beings go through. So I think it was a very, very wonderful session. Shalini put it in a very wonderful, precise way. And thanks, Divya, for commenting. And she's a wonderful coach, Shalini. I'm really proud of all my coaches. You know, they're doing so well. And thank you, Prosperity, the backbone for our work, Alpha Stars. So we wait for the next Friday, and would also request every time I do that when we are sending you the mails, kindly put it on your social media also, so that we get more and more people and they're really able to understand what all of you are doing, and that's what we look forward to, right? So thank you all of you. All of you
Thank
have a
you.
great time. Stay
Thank you
safe.
so much, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.